On 11 July 2023, Leslie Van Houten, a member of the Manson family, was released from prison after serving over 50 years of a life sentence. Leslie Van Houten is the first follower of deceased cult leader Charles Manson to walk free in the Manson family murders case. But what is this story about? Who is Charles Manson? In this episode, let's recall the dark world of the Manson family murders.
I remember that I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing for her as she begged for her life and for the life of her baby.
Tell me in a sentence who you are.
A series of murders in 1969 sent shockwaves across the US. The 7 victims, a pregnant Hollywood actress and her 4 companions, a supermarket executive and his wife. The perpetrators linked to a cult with approximately 100 followers. The leader, a convicted criminal and a failed musician. This is the Manson family, a murderous cult that terrorized the US from the late 1960s to the early 1970s. Leslie Van Houten was freed from prison after over 50 years. Houten was just 19 years old when she helped carry out the murders of supermarket executive Leno LaBianca and his wife Rosemary. Houten, now aged 73, admitted to stabbing Rosemary over a dozen times. She was sentenced to death in 1971, but her sentence was later commuted to life in prison. Houten will now likely be on parole for about 3 years. While in prison, she earned a degree in counseling. Houten's life turned upside down in her teenage years when she turned to drugs and became pregnant. She met Charles Manson in the late 1960s when he established his cult. A handful of Manson family members carried out gruesome killings in Los Angeles in 1969. 7 people, including actress Sharon Tate, were the victims. Sharon Tate, the wife of director Roman Polanski, was 8.5 months pregnant at the time of her murder on 9th August 1969. She was stabbed 16 times by Manson family members Susan Atkins and Charles Tex Watson.
And I was left to sit and watch Sharon Tate. And about that time, all I can remember seeing is people just scattering in different places and running in different places. And I was left sitting with Sharon Tate. And she was talking to me. And I remember that I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing for her as she begged for her life and for the life of her baby.
Before her death, Tate pleaded to be allowed to live long enough to give birth and offered herself as a hostage to save the life of her unborn child. Tate's ex-boyfriend Jay Sebring was one of the victims. He was shot and stabbed by Watson. The following evening, the Manson family members went on to murder Leo LaBianca and Rosemary.
If I wanted to kill somebody, I'd take this book and beat you to death with it, and I wouldn't feel a thing. It'd be just like walking to the drugstore.
Charles Manson was the leader of the Manson family cult. He started as a petty criminal and had been in and out of prison. He reinvented himself in the late 1960s as a philosopher, targeting teenagers who ran away from their homes to be members of his cult. Manson sent his followers out to butcher the rich and famous in Los Angeles. The 1969 murders were carried out under his and Tex Watson's orders. Manson was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy in the case. In his interviews with the media, Charles Manson at times denied his role in the killings and other times boasted about them. Manson spent nearly 50 years in prison and died in 2017 at the age of 83. Many of the Manson family members have died and others remain awaiting their release from prison in several other high-profile criminal cases. With Leslie Van Houten out of jail, will the other cult members meet the same fate? What are your thoughts about this? Let me know in the comments.